Center, and welcome to the Learning with the Learning Community presentation. As an order of business, as we get started today, I want to let you know that if you have any issues or challenges related to accessing today's webinar, if you will utilize the question and answer box, we will try to address your needs or questions as soon as possible. Otherwise, if you have any general questions regarding what we will discuss today, we invite you to utilize our chat window in order to engage in dialogue with us during today's presentation. With that said, I want to go ahead and put everybody in attendance to work by asking you an important question. Please answer this question now. What is the biggest or number one issue facing the families that you serve in your community? You just take a minute and offer a response in the chat window. Do that right now. Look forward to seeing your responses in the chat window. You have about 20 more seconds to respond to that question. Hopefully we will get some responses from you in the chat window. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for your responses. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We see you responding. Awesome. Transportation, lack of funding to serve the community, low income, and inability to pay in full on time. So thank you very much for responding. Continue to respond. And once again, I want to just welcome you to today's presentation and to tell you what the intent is. The Learning Communities Resource Center is a project that is funded by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Community Services, or OCS as we call it, and really it's their investment in ensuring that the Community Action Network is able to receive resources and information that it needs to further engage in those innovative or promising practices around what I say fighting poverty or alleviating poverty. And the project, it started in October of 2015 and is a 2-year project that will continue into September of 2017. And given that we are at a wonderful midpoint in terms of our work, we thought it would be wonderful to update the network on what has been going on with the learning community and really, most of all, provide you with quick access to the wealth of resources that we have available through our work on this project. And so just in summary, today's presentation will involve me sharing an overview of the learning community, and then we will talk about opportunities for engagement with the learning community itself via the Learning Community blog, our national webinar series, and the CFP GTA Resource Center. And so, why the learning community again? The point is that 46.7 million people in America are living in poverty, with 15.5 million of those individuals being children. And so we know that poverty, it just continues to plague our society, and you know, for persons who are in deep poverty, those families who live in deep poverty are more likely to remain that way unless something very drastic happens. And that's why, in many ways, the learning community has served as a learning lab for our networks around finding those promising practices or those innovative, effective practices models that not only address the causes of poverty, but also the conditions of poverty. And, you know, I want to say a little bit more about those causes. I mean, really, we're talking about looking at some of those deeply rooted scenarios or situations that really cause, like, the various conditions of poverty that we find with the families that we are being served, or the families that we are serving on a daily basis as a network. And so we know that our work as community action is anti-poverty work, and that anti-poverty work rests at the heart of what we do. And really, as we have engaged in what we have engaged in as a project, we have wrestled with the questions around how we might win the fight against poverty more effectively, how do we tell the story of our impact, and then how can we best replicate those winning practices. And so with that said, I want to focus us on the community action promise. That promise really, I think, is foundational as we think about the work of the learning community and the work of our network as well. And feel free to just read along with me as I state this. I think that it's just an important moment for us each time as we reflect on this and the why and the how we do the work that we do. And it is community action, changes people's lives, embodies the spirit of hope, improves communities, and makes America a better place to live. We care about the entire community, and we're dedicated to helping people help themselves and each other. So let's talk a little bit more about the structure of the learning community itself. So basically, the learning community is comprised of multiple topical peer-to-peer learning community groups. And we use the term LCGs for short to describe the learning community groups, or to call out the learning community groups. But those groups consist of a combination of agencies that are currently working on a program or a service delivery strategy aimed to fight poverty. And so in general, the members of the groups attend meetings. Many of those meetings occur on a bi-monthly or every other month structure. Some of those meetings happen in person through our national meetings, like our Management Leadership Training Conference or our annual convention, but many of those sessions happen virtually, and during those sessions we are discussing what works, sharing our findings, data findings, but I think an important piece is solving problems and offering those best practices or new ideas that help to support the whole process of fighting poverty more effectively, so that our agencies can win for the families and the communities that we serve. And so I mentioned that the community is comprised of LCGs, and I have also talked about the fact that the agencies are engaged in a process of trying to help one another with solving specific problems. And through the learning community groups, or through the LCGs, we're able to offer technical assistance and guidance, and we are able to utilize subject matter experts to help us with that. But the cool thing is that we also regard the participants in the learning community themselves as experts, as they help one another in solving specific problems to meet critical needs based on what the agency is facing. And so earlier I asked you all the question, what is the biggest or number one issue facing families in the communities that you serve? And what I would say as it relates to that is, as we have engaged your colleagues nationally, what they have derived in terms of some of those challenges that, you know, really rest at some of the causes of poverty, or they even play themselves out as conditions of poverty. Many of their experiences or perspectives are not much different from what you all have put in the chat window for today's presentation. So you see living wage employment, transportation, alcohol or drug abuse, or affordable quality child care, all those kinds of things, which, like I said, very much align with some of the challenges that you have put out as a challenge that your agency is facing at this time. And so then as we look at the actual learning community groups themselves, and so let's talk about the whole notion of like comprehensive or quality child care. We all know that as it relates to the whole child care issue, we can't necessarily deal with that in isolation. We just can't just give a child access to a classroom and expect that, okay, that now it's a 3-year-old, they are able to access early childhood education, they're going to be fine. No. In order for the child to be able to thrive, they have to exist in a home and in a family that can also thrive as well. And so, for example, if you look at our first learning community group, or LCG, Increasing Financial Empowerment for Families, it's really about helping families to maximize or make the most of the resources that they do have available so that they can take their family the extra mile in terms of the complicated needs that they have around making ends meet, so to speak, and to stabilize their families in that way. And so CFPD has served as the subject matter expert for that group, and has basically exposed members of that group to various resources and tools that allow community action professionals to provide that more specific or dynamic support for families who are really seeking to make ends meet more effectively. The other consideration is, like, if we think about that scenario of the young child who needs access to quality child care, their family, one, needs to be able to make the ends meet, but also what we have found is that we can't effectively move people or families out of poverty by addressing their needs in isolation, but we must maybe think about a bundled or more comprehensive approach to meeting the needs of families or individuals. And so the Bundling Services to Improve Outcomes group has really spent some time sort of thinking about from an intake point of view related to enrolling customers into the agency for services to just a whole array of services that are provided to basically think about that in the most holistic manner possible, so that, thinking about that child that needs access to that quality early childhood experience, their parents maybe also need access to employment or need skills to allow them to access employment, or maybe there are some needs around the financial empowerment side of things, but in essence, there are an array of services that can be offered to further support families and individuals more effectively, so that they can not only move forward on the spectrum towards stability and really thriving, but to also be sustained in that process as well. And that the Bundling Services to Improve Outcomes, LCG, is facilitated by Garrett County Community Action Committee in Maryland, and is also being facilitated by Mary Virtue. So, how many of you know that poverty is a very traumatic experience? It is. It is. And statistics show that especially for young children who are exposed to poverty, it can have long-term developmental effects on that child. And so they're, again, thinking about that child that needs access to that quality early childhood education. If they have been traumatized in those early years to a certain extent, really their ability to be able to learn and to retain the information really see those opportunities that might lie before them in the most effective manner might be minimized. And so really, as we think about trauma-informed approaches for alleviating poverty, we're talking about topics such as toxic stress and trauma. We recently facilitated a webinar that focused on 2 generational approaches to trauma-informed care. Many of you as community action professionals who are meeting the needs of families who are in crisis every day, yourself maybe find yourselves in trauma, in some level of trauma, or find yourselves traumatized. And ultimately the group seeks to find ways for the agency to sort of think about how it facilitates its services or how it is structured such that the agency itself doesn't further contribute to the trauma of its employees, and certainly not contributing further to the trauma of the customers that are being served. And so there are an array of topics that are explored by this group, and you all, which we will talk about further through our national webinar series, will hear more about some future webinar presentations that we will offer in that regard. That group is being facilitated by Elena Cohen and Catherine Marshall. So the next group, very quickly, that we are facilitating is the results at the community level. LCG, it is a new learning community group that we are offering that is replacing the place-based strategies group. And really, this group is going to have a wonderful opportunity to explore what it means to clearly define community-level needs, outcomes, and strategies. And so if you think about those of you who are involved in neighborhood initiatives or partnerships, and let's go back to that whole scenario of the children needing access to quality early childhood. Maybe that is not only an issue impacting that one child or that family, that is an issue impacting the entire community. And so through participation in this particular group, it's an opportunity to explore what it means to define a specific community-level outcome that the agency might work on for the long haul and push the needle on in a positive capacity to improve those early childhood education outcomes for several children that maybe exist in that community, and to do that in partnership with other stakeholders. So another group that I would like to bring our attention to is health intersections. And so it was someone that I was speaking with earlier today, and they basically said, you know, lack of access to health care, or, you know, an unhealthy environment or unhealthy lifestyle is a poverty issue. So in essence, those two things kind of go hand in hand. And so thinking about those children who need access to that quality education and are maybe suffering from health issues, haven't ever been to the doctor after being born, or the dentist, and it having a negative impact on them developmentally, or even for their parents having that negative impact. It says that, you know, as we look at trying to fight poverty, we also have to look at those social determinants of poverty, and this group gives us a space to really explore that and reflect on that in a meaningful way. The other group that we are very excited is a project or a group called Rural Impact, and it's a part of the White House Rural Council Rural Impact Project, whereby 10 sites around the country have been identified to basically implement a 2-generational approach to fighting rural child poverty. And so there again, as we think about that whole scenario of children accessing that quality early childhood education, this group is absolutely reflecting on what the realities might be for a child in such a scenario within the rural context, navigating some of the complex conditions that some of you have already highlighted, like access to transportation or access to health care or access to the living wage jobs, but really thinking on a community level with other stakeholders and also with federal partners about ways to facilitate systems-level change to make access to opportunities for children and families in those communities more viable. And so, thinking about our scenario again, so another barrier or condition that could really have a negative impact on a child's ability to access and really to maximize their early childhood education might be the fact that, well, they might go to school every day, but when they leave school, there's no real home that they have to go to. So maybe their parents are homeless, and that creates a tremendous amount of stress. And it really kind of creates a chain reaction in terms of what that child might be facing. And so the Decreasing Family Homelessness group not only focuses on, the scenario that I'm highlighting. I'm using the early childhood education scenario as an example. It could be many other examples, but they definitely explore the broad range of barriers that are preventing families from accessing safe and affordable housing. And really, they have spent a lot of time focused on one strategy through the Rapid Rehousing Program and how that can increase accessibility for that stability for families who are homeless. This group is an ongoing group that is open at any time for people to sign up for, because we facilitate this group through the National Webinar Series. It's facilitated by the National Alliance to End Homelessness. And then our next group, Poverty Trends, it's really a survey course. I call it a theory course, where we are really diving deeply into the research and the statistics around the causes and conditions of poverty and its impact. It's facilitated by Jim Masters and Alan Stansbury. And the cool thing about this group in this coming year is agencies are having the opportunity to sign up to specifically take the information learned through this group to think about their community assessment planning processes. And so, in essence, the learning community is really big and growing, as I like to say it. We are up to 1,100, almost 1,200 community action professionals nationally who have been engaged in some way, whether they're engaged in one of our closed or open learning community groups, or participating in a national webinar presentation like you are today, or participating as a follower of our resources and our blogs. But really the point is that we want to make this tool, this resource through the Learning Communities Resource Center as accessible to all of you as much as possible, so that we might achieve our goals. You can see the map there, and these are the wonderful faces of many of your colleagues around the country who have been involved in the learning community in some way, and it's very exciting. Just continuing to scroll through there. And I've already mentioned the names of our subject matter experts. Maybe names that I did not call out are Barbara Mooney and Dana Jackson. They are the subject matter experts of our new Results at the Community Level group. And if you haven't seen the advertisement for how to join that group, we are happy to provide you with information, because we are still accepting applications for interested agencies who want to be involved with the group. But otherwise, I think I have mentioned the names, and you can see the faces of our very capable, wonderful subject matter experts within the learning community. The other thing that I'll say is that the learning community has engaged in multiple phases. So it has been a learning process for us. It started with formation, which really rested with member agencies having an opportunity to get to know each other and learn a little bit more about what each agency wanted to work on for their project. and then we moved to knowledge building, which was really a time for intensive content or information sharing regarding our specific topic area. And now agencies are in what we call our piloting or implementation phase, whereby they have previously already worked on goal plans or action plans related to an enhancement related to their topic area. And so now is the time to test those plans. And during this phase, our team is available to provide those agencies with training and technical assistance. And then the next phase will be practice transformation, which is really an opportunity for the network to have a chance to hear more directly from all of our participants about what actually happened as a result of their participation in this project. And so today's session is called Learning with the Learning Community. Really, I should have called it Part 1 or the introduction, because over the course of the next several months, each of those groups that I have named, from bundling services to financial empowerment to results at the community level and trauma-informed approaches, you will have an opportunity to hear from your peers about what their experience was like in each of those groups, and like I said, what happened or what changed as a result of their engagement with the learning community. So I am going to advance very quickly through these slides. One tool that I will share with you right now that you might want to explore, because maybe your agency is not in a place right now where you have time to commit to an intensive experience with the learning community, but you have a particular goal in mind or an enhancement, something that you would like to do to improve the way you engage in service delivery, and you're just kind of wondering, well, what might I use to kind of help the agency, or what might the agency use to think through the process or plan in the most effective manner. And we are pleased to offer you a tool that was developed by Dr. Barbara Mooney as a part of the learning community, called a goal planning tool, which just asks you a series of questions related to the identified need that you're wanting to address, and it kind of walks you through questions related to determining the outcomes, strategies, and tracking the results related to efforts to achieve those outcomes over time. And so that is a tool that is available to the entire network, and we will point that tool out specifically to you further in our presentation when we take you through a tour, or take you on a tour of the learning community blog. And so at this time, I am pleased to pass the baton on to my colleague, Hyacinth McKinley. Hyacinth serves as the program associate for the learning community, and she's going to share a little bit more about member statistics, and then she's also going to take you on a tour of the learning community blog. Hyacinth?
Good afternoon. Oh, yep, I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that introduction, Tiffany. And again, I just want to echo how excited we are that you guys were able to join us today to take a little bit more time to learn about the learning community. One thing that we really want to stress, that we have stressed throughout the work that we've done in year one, but that we really want to drive home throughout the network in our participation going into year two, is that every activity that you guys do, not just the people that are participating in our closed groups that are doing that intensive goal plan that Tiffany just went through, but really everyone that takes part in the learning community by using our resources, by attending our webinars, by coming out to our national presentations, adds their voice to the impact of our network. And as Tiffany said in the beginning, that's really what the learning community is all about, is harnessing the impact that we have as a network and using it to improve our communities and make lives better for our families in need. So I want to walk you through some of the numbers to really drive home how much work has gone into what Tiffany just quickly went through, and the numbers, and to highlight everyone that took their time and their energy into what we have accomplished so far. So as she mentioned, we have just shy of 1,200 community action professionals participating in the learning community. That's in our closed groups, that's attending our webinars, that's people who have signed up to become followers of our network. Specifically, over 80 agencies have committed to take part in one of the 4 closed groups that Tiffany talked about. Those are the ones that have the specific goal plans that they are working towards and that we are currently in the piloting phase with them. We are very excited about the work they've accomplished, and we're very much looking forward to seeing what they do now that they are moving into the implementation phase of their project. And across these 6 groups, so that includes our closed LCGs, but also the 2 open groups that Tiffany talked about, the Decreasing Family Homelessness group and the National Poverty Trends group. We have convened over 41 times. So moving along, you can see there's a lot of moving pieces to the learning community, a lot of different people coming to the table on different levels. We have participation from management down to frontline staff coming together to focus on these issues. So now going to our presentation statistics, we have almost 1,500 people. I'm sure including many of you. I saw a couple of names that I recognized on the attendee list, but almost 1,500 people have attended one of the 20 webinar events that we have held so far in this project year. We have also, in this time, produced 10 publications that were specifically targeted to the needs of our LCG, but we are sure will be impactful and helpful for many of the different aspects of your work, and you can find those on the blog, and we'll be going through those shortly. So, and over 500 people came to hear about the specifics of certain projects. Ones that come to mind are the Rural Impact Project or the Poverty Trends Group at our conference this year. And our blog, which we will be giving you a live demo of shortly, was launched back in August, actually at our annual convention, and since then, in those few months, it's already been visited by over 1,300 people. It has a resource bank with over 100 resources, and 52 people have enrolled to become followers of our blog. So being a follower of our blog means that you get updates on all the activities, upcoming events, promotions that are available through the learning community. So hopefully some of you will be inclined to join us following our presentation today. And you can do so by visiting the homepage of our blog. And if you look on the right-hand side, you will see a message like the picture that you see here on the screen that says follow the blog via email. You enter your email address, and that's it. From that point on, you are enrolled, and you will receive live updates on everything that we do here in the learning community. And I believe with that, it's time for us to do our demonstration of the blog. With that, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to take you guys to our blog, which you should be able to see. Okay, so here you can see the home page of the Learning Community blog. Again, it's an introduction to everything that we do, focusing on the topical learning areas and general resources, updates, conversations that are relevant to the work in our network. You can see over here on the right-hand side, you see the area that I just mentioned where you can access to follow our blog. The actual follow button isn't visible because I'm logged in as an admin, but don't worry, I promise if you go there to look right now, you'll be able to see it. And again, the web address is lcrcweb.com. So I will take you through each of the blogs. So each of our learning community groups actually has an individual blog where we post recaps from their bi-monthly meetings, where we post the slides from the webinar events that we do. Sometimes we have some of our subject matter experts, they'll write a few pieces for us pertaining to that subject matter. So let's, for example, go to the Bundling Services blog. So you can see all of their presentations from their bi-monthly meetings. If we go to another one, let's see. For our Rural Impact Project, you can actually see a lot of the updates that they've had, as this is our national project, which has gotten a lot of attention recently. Here you can find the Year 1 summary report that was produced by ASPE. detailing the challenges and progress of our 10 sites over the course of year 1 of their implementation. We actually have a feature done by one of our VISTA volunteers that works at one of our sites in Maryland, giving her take on why it's important to be a part of a project like Rural Impact and what her experience has been with rural poverty and why it's so important to her. So you can see some of the other resources that we have going on. We can take a look at our membership page. And here you can actually look to find greater detail about the individual agencies that are actually participating in our different groups. So again, we'll go to the bundling services, for example. Under Meet the Group, you can actually learn a little bit more about the agencies that are participating, and an additional feature that we're hoping to have coming soon is to provide, to use this as a landing page to provide progress and updates on their specific implementation efforts and what they're doing with their projects. So relating back to that goal plan that Tiffany discussed earlier, showing where they are in their goal plan, what progress they've made, what significant findings that they are encountering as they go through the implementation of their projects. So very exciting. And another important resource that we have is actually the resources page, where, as I said, we have over 100 different resources from webinars, reports, infographics, various presentations, everything really that we've kind of put our hands on in the learning community over the course of the last 12 months. One thing that we love is that it's really easily sorted. If you go across the top of the page, you can see that it's sorted, again, by our focus topic areas, and it's also sortable by our webinar presentations and presentations that were given at our national conference event. So if any of you are attending our MLTC conference next week, any of the presentations that relate to the learning community that are presented at that event, you'll be able to find here and access them. And this presentation, too, shortly will be up here as well. And finally, the last page that we have is our upcoming events page, which gives you access to all of our upcoming webinar events, and you can also click on the registration links. Under our upcoming events, it'll take you right to the registration page. And also, we have all of our past highlights. So the past webinars that we've done in the last year, you can find access to both the recording link and the presentation slide. So please let us know if you have any questions. That's kind of it in a nutshell. But we really encourage you to go visit the blog and follow us, but to play around, see what you find, and we really look forward to your participation in the learning community through your access with the blog, our webinars, our in-person events, and just doing what you do. So thank you. If anyone has any questions, you can send them in the chat, but I think, Tiffany, I'm going to turn it back over to you now.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Thank you very much. So one of the cool things that we're able to offer for the network is an opportunity to access our national webinar series. These webinars are open and free to our entire network, and so if there is a topic of interest to you as an individual or for your entire agency, you are welcome to sign up and participate in these. We welcome your engagement with this series, and as much as possible as it relates to the things that we are learning within the context of the individual groups. If there are topics that we think would be of interest to the larger network, we have added them to our season, to our series. And speaking of which, I mentioned earlier, even today's presentation is a part of a mini-series called Learning with the Learning Community. There will be another Learning with the Learning Community presentation held in March that focuses on the Rural Impact Project, and yet another one that will occur, or actually two that will take place in May, focused on bundling services and financial empowerment. and then another in May focused on trauma-informed approaches. And so it's an opportunity for you to hear firsthand from your colleagues about what their experiences were like in the individual LCGs. In addition to that, we have another mini-series going on focused on racial equity. The next one is scheduled for January the 18th, Families of Color in the Quest to Build Wealth. That will be facilitated by CFED. Additionally, we have a presentation on implicit bias as well as structural racism in February as a part of that mini-series. You've heard us speak about the Poverty Trends LCG. So there are about 3 sessions that are on the calendar for this year that will be facilitated by the Poverty Trends subject matter experts, as is the same case for our Decreasing Family Homelessness LCG group and our Trauma-Informed Approaches group. The other webinar feature, then this is an added feature for this year that we are pleased to offer that is being supported by the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. I think it's CFP, the Your Money, Your Goals resources. And so they will offer an overview webinar that is not yet on this schedule, but in addition to that, an opportunity for any agency staff who wants to engage in the Train the Trainer workshop experience to be able to provide some wonderful financial empowerment resources for customers on a daily basis. And so here's what we have to offer. If there is something that you yourself might be interested in learning more about that you don't see here on the schedule, let us know, and we would love to explore how to share more information with the larger network related to that specific anti-poverty topic. And so please join us and learn with us in our national webinar series. I have mentioned already the January 18th presentation, and there is further description about that one. It's one that you do not want to miss. Most of all, we want to extend to you the opportunity to learn with us or to join us, whether it's, as Sandy has already pointed out, subscribing to the Learning Community blog, participating in our webinar presentations, or choosing to potentially sign up for one of our open learning community groups or our brand new Results at the Community Level group. The other important thing that we must bring to your attention, and we would be remiss not to share with you, is the CFPG TTA Resource Center. Within the CFPG TTA Resource Center are all of the resources that have been generated or identified by the Learning Communities Resource Center over the 2 projects. Because this is actually the second of this project that has been implemented. It was initiated, the project, back in 2013, I think it was, and so since 2013, there's just been a wealth of resources that have been discovered, and all that information is available in the CFPG TTA Resource Center. Certainly everything that we have on the blog is available there, and then just a whole wealth of other community action-focused resources focused on organizational standards, focused on governance, focused on fiscal management, you name it, as it relates to the needs, the capacity needs of our network. It's all there, and so we invite you, if you haven't gone to visit there, to do so. There's an opportunity to search for a specific topic or a particular resource that you have, and if you find that you have a question and you're not able to find a tool or a resource related to that need or question on the CFPG TTA Resource Center, or you're not able to find it on the blog, please, please, please feel free to send our team an email, and amongst the training and technical assistance team at the partnership, we find it to be our goal or mission to meet your needs. And so if you can't find it, we can certainly help you find it if you let us know what you need. And so from the Learning Communities Resource Center, you can continue to expect promising, proven practices, innovative methods of addressing poverty. We're constantly experimenting, so further experimentation and implementation of new ideas, and, oh gosh, the wealth of resources. We are constantly identifying resources related to anti-poverty approaches, and we want you to take advantage of those and to spread the word, to tell your colleagues that you know about the resources that we have to offer. And this year we're excited about being able to develop publications and resources to summarize our lessons learned from the field. And so as this year progresses, you will start to hear from us about those new publications that get developed. And I think that our network, we are the poverty experts. We really are. And so, you know, I think this project gives us an opportunity to increase our accumulated knowledge and expertise. And as a result of what we're learning, hopefully we will improve the way that we collect data and tell the story of impact to our stakeholders, even to ourselves internally, so that we might improve processes. So every day we are bringing our best selves to the families and the communities that we serve. And so we thank you very much for taking the time to participate in today's presentation. Hopefully it provided you with some additional insight in terms of what has been going on in general with the learning community. The learning community is for the entire Community Action Network. Please take advantage of us. If you would take a moment to complete the survey about today's presentation. Certainly if there's more things that you want to learn more about, let us know that. And of course, if there's anything that we can do to provide you with customized assistance so that you can do what you do better for those wonderful families and those young children that you serve on a daily basis. We're here to help. Thank you once again, and please join us for our next webinar presentation that's coming up on January 18th. Make it a great day. Take care. This concludes our webinar.